So suppose they ask the question, what is the maximum value of a sin x plus b cos x? Or they might also ask, what is the minimum value of a sin x plus b cos x? Now it's quite difficult to find the maximum or minimum value of this single format, but if we write it in the format of r sin x plus alpha or r cos x plus alpha, then we can find the maximum or minimum value, because in that case it becomes a sinusoidal. Now one thing is important to remember, it doesn't really matter whether you convert a sin x plus b cos x in the sine format or the cos format, because in both the cases they are a sinusoidal. That means they look like this regardless of whether it is sin x or whether it is cos x. They look like this. It's known as a sinusoidal curve. Now in a sinusoidal curve, the maximum value is plus 1 and the minimum value is minus 1, and there is an axis over here. So which is, if there is an axis over here, so which makes it 0. So this is 0. So you can see the value fluctuates between 1 0 minus 1, 0 1 0 minus 1. It fluctuates between plus 1 and minus 1. So if you're asked what is the maximum value of either sine of any angle or cos of any angle, in that case the maximum value of sine theta is 1 and minimum value of sine theta is minus 1. Similarly, the maximum value of cos theta is 1 and the minimum value of cos theta is minus 1. Now, but there is a number over here called r. So if there is a number, what would be the maximum value? Well, in that case, if there is a maximum value for r sine of any angle, then if you have r sine theta, so the maximum value would be plus r and the minimum value would be minus r. Again, in terms of r cos theta, the maximum value would be plus r and the minimum value would be minus r. But what about this angle? It's not basically x, it's x plus alpha, or in case of a cos, it's like x plus alpha, theta plus alpha. Doesn't this have any effect on the maximum or minimum value? Not at all. The only thing to remember is that the maximum value of sine of any angle, regardless of what the angle is, it is plus 1, and the minimum value of sine or cos of any angle is minus 1. So what we are doing basically over here is we are just multiplying it with this. So this is 1, so I'm just writing r into 1, and this is minus 1, I'm just writing r into minus 1. That's where the minimum value minus r is coming from. So let me show you visually what this looks like. So first of all, take a look at this. This is, the range is from 0 to 360 degree. So if I take a look at, this is sin x. So you can see the maximum value here, it is 1, and the minimum value over here is minus 1. So sin x has this maximum value 1, minimum value minus 1. Now if I draw 2 sin x, meaning r sin x, you will see now the maximum value is 2 and the minimum value is minus 2. If I use 3 sin x, the value of r has increased, the maximum value is 3 and the minimum value is minus 3. If I have 4 sin x, the maximum value is 4 and the minimum value is minus 4. That means the main sinusoidal is sin x is plus 1 and minus 1, maximum and minimum. But when you multiply it with numbers by r, that becomes the maximum point and that becomes the minimum point. Now if we do the same thing with cos, you will see cos looks like this from 0 to 360 degree, and the maximum value is this 1 and the minimum value is this minus 1. So this is 1 and this is minus 1. If I multiply this with 2, the maximum value becomes 2 and the minimum value becomes minus 2. If I multiply with this 3, the maximum value becomes 3 and the minimum value becomes minus 3. If I multiply this with 4, the maximum value becomes 4 and the minimum value becomes minus 4. That means basically r and minus r. Now if you take a look at sin x and cos x, you might say, but they look different. Sin x looks like this and cosx looks like this. Why are they sinusoidal? Well, let me zoom out. If I zoom out, you will see that basically they are part of the same sinusoidal, just the difference is the step. So basically cos is 90 degree, a little bit 90 degree backwards, and sine is 90 degree forward. Apart from that, if you look at the sketch, it is identical. The sinusoidal is really identical. They look more or less the same. This is cos and this is sine.